Hi, my name is Tanya and I'm a sewaholic. I recently watched the lovely Ruan from the Yorkshire Sew Girl, and she did the this or that sewing tag, and she said she wasn't tagged but she just liked the idea of the little sewing game, and she just basically tags everyone that does YouTube sewing videos, or at least that's how I understood it. And I thought this tag is so much fun. I really enjoyed watching different videos, and it was brought to life by originally the Love to Sew podcast, which I love. And then I quickly have to check her name. She is the Curated Curvy on YouTube, and she just brought the tag as a YouTube game to life, I guess. And I just thought it sounds like fun, and why not do it? So this tag is, or the this or that game is divided into 4 topics. The first one is sewing prep, the second one is fabric, the third one is clothing construction, and the fourth one is sewing habits. And I will just go through these questions and tell you on which side I am. So let's start with sewing prep. Shopping new versus stash busting. And that's quite hard to answer for me because I don't have a big stash. If there are some fabrics in my stash, then I will always try to use them. But as I don't have a big stash, I have to go shopping for fabric or for specific projects quite a lot. Then, PDFs versus paper patterns. In general, I would say paper patterns. I kind of like tracing the paper patterns. For example, if I have a Tilly and the buttons pattern and I can get my hands on a paper copy, I will always go for that. But as I am in Austria and getting the most of the US and UK pattern companies in paper format shipped to me at home is quite hard. So I own much more PDF patterns than paper patterns. I would prefer the paper alternative just because I also hate sticking together PDFs. Cutting versus tracing. And now I just told you that I don't have anything against tracing, and that is true. If I have a paper pattern, say Tilly and the Buttons or McCall's or something like that, I will often trace them. But if I have PDF patterns, I print them out, I stick them together, then I won't trace them. It's just too much work and I will just cut right into it. Also because I will be able to print out different sizes, for example, at any time, because I just have the PDF pattern at home anyways. So yeah. Muslin or just go for it? In general, just go for it. And I know that's not the best way to approach things probably. There is one exception, and that is coats and jackets. Jackets meaning blazers. I have one blazer that was quite complicated to sew, which is the Fernanda blazer by Vicky Sews, and I also made a fiber mood very long line coat, and I had wool fabrics for both of these. There is a lot of other materials involved in these projects, and then I will go for a calico cotton fabric, and I will just sew the basic seams so that I can check if the shoulders sit at the right point, or if the length of the sleeve is correct, or for example with the blazer, if all the darts are sitting on my body where they're supposed to sit. Yeah, that's the only time I do muslins, and I don't do wearable muslins or toiles because I think every garment should be as good as possible, and I think it's a waste of fabric to do wearable toiles which you then probably don't wear. So yeah. Second topic is fabrics. Who doesn't love fabrics? And the first question is in-store versus online shopping. I much prefer in-store shopping to the online version. I am quite lucky in that we have a few fabric stores in the area I live. Some of them are better than others, but in general it's not the best variety of fabric stores I would say we have, so I definitely have to do a lot of online shopping, especially if I am searching for something in particular. Then I have to go online, but I prefer feeling the fabric and seeing the structure and the weight of the fabric. So yeah, I would go for in-store. Knits versus wovens. I would say wovens. I sew with knits, and I love my Freya tops by Tilly and the Buttons, for example, and always when it comes to autumn winter I will sew more knit garments, as probably everyone does, but in general I go for woven more. Tumble dry versus hang to dry. I have no tumble dryer, so I have to hang dry. Rotary cutter versus scissors, and I would say scissors. That's how I learned to sew, and I haven't used a rotary cutter for many years, and I started using one I think 2 years ago maybe. And if I have a very slippery fabric, like something like satin or viscose or very thin viscose, or sometimes also double gauze, I will go for my rotary cutter because I also have a cutting mat now, so I will do it, but in general I still prefer my scissors, and I think it's just because I am more used to scissors than to the rotary cutter. Topic number 3, clothing construction. Follow the pattern or wing it. It depends, because when I am sewing a blazer, for example the Fernanda blazer or a bigger coat project or something like that, I will go for the instructions. But in general I have to say I am a visual learner, so if there is a lot of text in the instructions, I most likely won't read all of it. And if it's, for example, a dress I have sewn lots of times or a blouse, sometimes I don't even look at the instructions, and sometimes I will just give them a quick look before I start the project, so I am sure I haven't forgotten anything, which from time to time happens anyways. But who doesn't know that problem, right? But yeah, it depends on the garment, but for the first time making a new garment I will most probably read through the instructions anyways. Bias tape, finish versus facing. Bias tape always, facings just turn out of my garment all the time, and I don't really like that finish. Serged seams versus French seams. Serged all the way. I hate French seams. I do them from time to time, for example when I'm working with silk, or if I'm making a special garment for someone, but they never really work for myself and doing a seam twice is just, no, I just don't like it. Button fly versus zip fly. I have done lots of zip flies, but I've never done a button fly, and so I have to go for the zip fly. Also, I don't really like wearing button flies, so that explains that. Button by hand versus machine sewn, and Ruan was quite funny because she said she's always hand sewing them because she doesn't, or she's afraid to use her machine or to try it on her machine, and that's applying to me as well. I'm afraid of trying out my button sewing on tool or feature on my machine, so I will do them by hand. But honestly, it's something I do in front of the TV or while watching YouTube, and it's quite relaxing, so I don't have anything against sewing my buttons on by hand. Fusible versus sewn-in interface, always fusible. The sewn-in interface is not my thing, and I have a strong preference towards the cotton fusible interface. I never use the polyester, I think it is, version, and Tamlyn from Sewn on the Tyne talked about this recently, and she said that she basically tried out the cotton interfacing, fusible interfacing, and that she loved it, and I can completely agree. I have used the polyester papery thing quite rarely during the past few years because it just melts and it doesn't stay where it is supposed to stay. Snip as you go or all at once. Generally snip as you go, but it can of course happen that I forgot some threads, but I think that's normal. Press as you go or all at once. In general, I try to do as many seams as possible and then press them, but I'm definitely a press as you go kind of gal, because as many sewists will know, pressing is one of the most important steps while sewing, and I completely agree with that opinion. And then to the last topic, which is sewing habits. Late night seamstress versus daytime seamstress. And I would say I'm both. In general, I sew more in the evenings just because I'm working during the day, and then I will enjoy my evenings in front of the sewing machine. But on the other hand, I'm sometimes too tired in the evenings to sew, and then I will do it on weekends during the daytime, for example, or sometimes if my partner is not at home at the weekends, or if I have an afternoon off and I'm alone at home, then I will really enjoy sewing in the afternoons, so during the daytime. But in general, I probably do more sewing in the evenings, but not sewing until like 1 o'clock in the morning, because I just can't use my brain then. Slow and steady versus frantic sewing. I would like to say I am slow and steady, but I am in general a very fast-paced person. And sometimes I have the feeling I need to get this blouse done so I can wear it tomorrow. And then I will get into this very frantic sewing stage where lots of mistakes happen, clearly. And that's the time when I tell myself, slow down, Tanya, you have a wardrobe full of clothes and you don't need to finish that right now. And then it sometimes works, and then I can be the slow and steady kind of sewist, and I can be definitely for things like blazers or coats. but in general I am a more frantic sewist than I would like to admit. Tidy as you go or one big cleaning session. I am quite a tidy person, though I think a sewing space can never be fully tidy. It's just too much thread and too much haberdashery and that kind of stuff around. But I always do, or most of the time do, a cleaning session after I finish my sewing for the day. So I get my little handheld hoover out and try to hoover my desk and cover my sewing machines and put everything back into place. So I would say one big cleaning session. And I'm the person who sometimes is sewing or cutting and just throwing whatever is in my hand on the floor because I can do it. And yeah, so probably one big cleaning session, yeah. But yeah, that was it. That was the this or that sewing tag, and I think it's so fun. And I would really like to hear from you guys what you think about my revelations and which types of sewists you are. And there is one person I would really like to tag, even if I haven't been tagged, but I guess it's okay. And that is Valerie from What Valerie Makes, because she tagged me in the 5 handmade essentials tag, I think it was, and I will link it here. And I really enjoyed doing that, and so I want to tag her back now. And in general, I think everyone who wants to do it should do it. Yeah. Thank you for watching this video, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and take care, guys. Bye!